Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the library tour of Doom. This is a tour I'm conducting through every book that I've ever owned, every book that I currently own, every ebook that I own, every ebook that I've currently owned, all of them, one book at a time, one day at a time, forever. And today we're going back to the 1960s for a slim volume that I've only ever found once. I would love to have a slightly better copy than the one I have now. This is Tales the Muses Told by Roger Lancelin Green with illustrations by Don Bolognese. It's just a skinny volume of retellings of Greek mythology by Roger Lancelin Green, who made a very good career out of doing that, and who wrote a book that I dearly love called Heroes of Greece and Troy, which I've had in one form or another. I've had the little paperbacks that were made out of it. I've had crappy, dust jacket free hardcovers, and then one of you very nicely sent me a copy of Tales of Greece and Troy, and then another one of you sent me an even better copy. So that was very, very nice. This is a sort of companion thing. Tales of Greece and Troy is the major big myths of ancient Greece. So you have the Oedipus myth and Theseus and Perseus, and you have the tale of the Iliad. And Tales the Muses Told is a smaller, slighter, more elegant kind of thing that is little stories from Greek mythology. This is Narcissus, the myth of Narcissus. This is all the various transformation myths that you see in Ovid's Metamorphoses, people changing into trees or into stars in the sky or into certain kinds of flowers or whatnot. Roger Lancelin Green tells them wonderfully. He has just a wonderful flair for it. It's a much more dramatic flair, a much more storytelling flair than the Greek myth popularizer who completely outstripped him, Edith Hamilton, who tells the stories in a narrative way, but not with the zest, not with the gusto that Roger Lancelin Green uses. As in this little volume, for instance, the story of Echo and Narcissus, the story of a beautiful nymph who is cursed to only be able to say the words that she has heard from the last person she heard. Green turns that into just a lovely, lovely rendition of that tale, as all of these things are. The closest thing that I've ever found to someone who matches this kind of ability is a writer named Bernard Evslin, Evslin. Not sure if anything by Bernard Evslin is in print anymore. The thing that stands a likelihood of being still in print is his retelling of the Odyssey. And we'll be getting to it on this library tour because I have it. And he did something, it had a terrible title, like Greek Myths, Monsters, and Gods, or something like that. It's a boring title, but boy, is that a great example of this kind of thing. But even that was more novelistic, it was more pretentious, whereas Roger Lancelin Green has a kind of lightness to him, an airiness to him that is almost summery, that I just love. I absolutely love it. For one reason or another, I'm perfectly willing to admit that it's largely subjective, but this author strikes a tone that I really love, and that's no small thing. Tone is one of the hardest things to master in writing, and once you have it, once you've found your voice, if it meshes with the reader, then there's nothing that can shake that. I love the way this author tells stories. I actually have a book about him. There was one, at least one anyway, that I know of, book about him. But I would like another copy of this thing, something that isn't quite so ratty. I'm sure that the Brattle will provide. I'm sure that I will come across it. But I wanted to mention it to you because these, in addition to being light and accessible and extremely elegantly told, are also wonderful to read to children. That was Roger Lancelin Green's sort of self-professed aim, although I think there are adult resonances in virtually everything that he wrote. But they are wonderful to read to children if you can find a volume like this. This is the kind of volume that it isn't illustrated in color, although the illustrations are lovely and elegant. Let me see if I can find you one here. This copy has seen better days. Children have colored in it. There. That is the kind of illustration that's throughout here. Not exactly the kind of illustration that kids will fall in love with, but a child would really like hearing these versions of these tales, and you know that these versions of these tales would be fine to read to a child because that's all that Roger Lancelin Green cared about was promulgating mythologies, Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology, especially Greek mythology, to young readers. It just so happens to appeal to me as well. So that is your book for today, Tales the Muses Told, a wonderful little ditty of a book to compensate for all the big and heavy stuff that I'm sure we'll hit on this endless library tour. But in the meantime, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.